Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today brought to you by our title sponsor, Able Auctions, ableauctions.ca. Wild over the Canucks 3-2 in overtime. More on that later. We'll touch on it a bit here as well. John Shannon joins us now, NHL analyst, a hockey storyteller. John, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I'm great, boys. How are you?
Very good. Tell us why you're in Pittsburgh.
Oh. So tonight in Pittsburgh, Penguins played here last night, beat Florida in overtime. But tonight is the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame and the Lester Patrick Award. And my old friend Sam Rosen is winning the Lester Patrick Award for contributions to the game in the United States. In his 40th year as the voice of the Rangers, his last year as voice of the Rangers. So I thought I'd come down and support him.
Iconic broadcaster in National Hockey League circles. I think I've got this right. Matt Cullen and Kevin Stevens, former Penguins, among the people going in tonight to the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. Hey,
Correct.
John, I mentioned the Wild beating the Canucks 3-2 in overtime. Minnesota Wild on top of the National Hockey League standings. Bill Guerin, who, by the way, is also the GM of the American entry in the Four Nations tournament, does he get enough credit for the job he's done, given all the dead money he has to deal with?
I think people are, I don't know about credit, but I think people are in awe of what Bill has done. I mean, I think they go, wow, how can this happen? And I think you just have to know the type of person that Bill is to understand that he can get the best out of people. And he's made some good decisions. Now, he inherited some pretty good players, let's be honest. You know, Chuck Fletcher drafted Kaprizov. Spurgeon was a Fletcher draft. But at the same time, the changes and the patience that Guerin has shown and the vision that Guerin has shown with the buyouts of Parise and Suter have put this franchise in good stead. They were, the Faber trade with Los Angeles is going to go down as one of the best trades in the history of the franchise because Faber is going to be a star in this league for a long time. Yeah. So Guerin, I do think he's starting to get credit, but I think people are more going, how is he doing this? This is absolutely amazing, knowing full well next year, guys, they're going to have almost $15 million more to spend if they spend to the cap.
Yep. John, last night in Calgary, tough to watch the Gaudreau tribute?
Really, really tough. In fact, I went back and watched it again this morning just because it was one of those nights that will go down in history. People who were at the Dome will remember that they were there the night that the Gaudreaus were there. Sean Monahan in tears on the opening faceoff. Both teams surrounding the family. In so many ways, I mean, there are 1,312 regular season games on the NHL schedule, Donnie. The game meant nothing. With all due respect to the 2 points Calgary got, the game meant nothing. The ceremony was absolutely awesome, was covered beautifully, was presented beautifully, and it brought back a tremendous amount of emotion, I think, for everybody. If you weren't welling up or crying by the end of the ceremony, man, oh man, I think we have to go to the Wizard of Oz and find a heart for you.
John, we just got a quote from Jim Rutherford this morning on the JT Miller situation and all the outside noise, the ridiculous rumors. I'm going to read it to you. Right. Rutherford said, "Don't start making stuff up on someone in his situation that's disrespectful. People that do this for fun or for a living just go back to making up trade rumors." The Canucks are not happy. Now, there's two sides to the story. They haven't really offered up a lot of clarity, and we live in a society that just loves negative news. So what do you think of Rutherford's comments on the Miller situation?
Well, I'm glad that Jimmy came out and said something. Too many organizations in sports put up brick walls when it comes to information and all of everything that swirls around, particularly in the world of social media and all the different platforms. And I think at the same time, he's showing a great deal of support for JT and what Miller is going through. So it was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to say. And it's one of those ones where I think we all get a little, out ahead of our skis at times and start to talk and create content. But for me, from the beginning, this was one where it's it's off base. You have to stay away from it. People ask you about it, and you just say, I don't know. And I quite frankly, I just want JT Miller to be well and to be better and to get through whatever he's going through and contribute for the Vancouver Canucks.
Well, I'll tell you one thing else. Rutherford should be very happy with his hockey club. They just had one hell of a road trip, 4-1-1, without Demko, without Miller, and Aronix missed 3. He's out 8 weeks. It seems like all this adversity, John, didn't stop. I know it was an easy trip. 5 out of the 6 were non-playoff teams, but you still got to win the games.
Got to win the games. I thought last night was a spectacular game, guys.
Yeah,
it really
was.
I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was a playoff atmosphere almost. To me, there was 2 of the marquee players in the game, and Hughes and Kaprizov going head to head at times. Hughes scores the first one, and Kaprizov scores the last one. So from that perspective, to me, it was an electric night in St. Paul. This is a hockey team that has no problems winning on the road. Now they've got to solve the problem of winning at home. And I don't know if there's any, coaches and managers try different things. Put the guys in hotels the night before home games. I'm not sure anything like that would work with this hockey club. But that's the thing that I think if you're looking at what's going on in Vancouver, you have to say, okay, how do we play better at home and how do we collect points at home? Because that's something that has been lacking.
John, I like thousands of others follow you on Twitter. And you had this post on Twitter recently. What will the upcoming Four Nations face-off be for you? You gave people 2 options, must-see TV or a vacation from hockey. It over like 2,000 votes. It was pretty much 50-50. Did you not think must-see TV would run away with this?
I thought must-see TV would win the day. I think by February, must-see TV will win the day. It's only the first week in December, and we have other things going on in our lives with the holidays coming and New Year and following all these hockey clubs. So by the time we do get to the break in the first week in February, I do think there will be momentum. I think that's something that just comes. It's a placeholder, guys. This is not the World Cup. This is not the Olympics. This is a placeholder for what will be in the future with hopefully a lot more teams than just 4. But it's going to be great hockey. I mean, the 2 rivalries, the Canada-USA rivalry, we've seen it, flourish with women's hockey with only 2 teams of any magnitude. And the Swedes and the Finns have a tremendous rivalry too. So I'm excited about the quality of the game. I expect it to be physical. I expect it to be fast. And I do expect by the time the end of January comes and the hype is really going full throttle, the games in Boston and the games in Montreal are going to be must-see TV.
I don't want to see I don't want to have a vacation from hockey in July and August. I don't know where these people are coming from.
Exactly.
John. I was surprised.
The one thing I would say about, and both of you guys know it on the platforms, it's really easy to be negative. Oh. It's really easy to be negative. So the guys that are really gung-ho about this thing are not necessarily ones that pipe up. So I expected the negativity. I didn't expect it to be 50-50, but I do expect by the time we get to February, it'll be probably closer to 75-25.
The negative people do make, they help our shows like ours. I will say that for them. So there is that.
Hey, listen, you guys with all the history you have on radio and television, you know full well that you have more listeners when the Canucks are on a 10-game losing streak than when they're on a 10-game winning streak.
Yeah, we have experience with that.
Yeah, but you also, John, you do want the winning. It makes our jobs tougher too. I mean, last year was fun. Donnie says it all the time. Last year was fun. They went to round 2, almost made it to round 3. The negativity sells, but you also want some wins to cover this.
It's best when it's up and down.
Yeah.
For us,
it's a fine line though, because you guys have done a marvelous job in the market, in the province, doing what you do. So there is that pseudo fan in you that says, okay, it's good if the Canucks win because people like what we're talking about and we have fun. And you know what, we wouldn't have jobs if the teams didn't compete. We wouldn't. Yeah. So we have to be positive about certain things as well. The thing is that, in the end, you can't get that totally involved in whether a team wins or loses in order to do your job.
Well, congrats to everybody going into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. If you weren't from Oliver, BC, John, if you were born south of the border, you'd be there too.
No. The only way I get into the one in Eveleth is if I pay the $12 US, which I'm not sure I have right now. And I'm just happy to be in the one that's in Penticton, the BC Hockey Hall of Fame.
There you go. John, thanks for this. We'll talk to you next week.
Cheers, boys.